It'll help if when I go live, I actually am in the studio, so I can actually go live. All right, all you freedom loving boys and girls, wherever you are, whomever you are, welcome to the live stream. Hey, tonight we're going to talk about our padded strap wrap, and I'm also laughing because I've thrown myself under the bus. Just scrambling sometimes to get over here. I got a ton of material I still need to cut. I was cutting stuff. I just realized I went live, but I wasn't even in the studio. And we got a bunch of cool comments already. So I'm just going to do this right off the bat, and then we'll jump right into the padded strap wrap. I'm also going to do a couple little tips and tricks, just some other few things. Some people have asked some question, over, DMs and email and stuff like that over the last couple of weeks. So nothing too crazy. And it's the padded strap wrap, which isn't too crazy either. I mean, you either get it or you don't. So, but let's start off here with some comments. First one in the live tonight was Big Vis. Good to see you again, sir. He's running a padded strap wrap on his canteen carriers. And we got Gene from across the pond. Woo! He's saying that's what he'll do, worth every penny, and hides and holds a lot of gear. Yeah, and so this isn't a loadout video, but Gene, to your point, I'm going to talk about some of that exact stuff when we get into the padded strap wrap. Then we got Gene saying hello to everybody. A good evening, Gene. Woo! And then we got Al in the house. Oh, I skipped over Al. Let me come back to Al. I use my strap wrap with my mother and G2. Great combo. Definitely helps if running a little heavy. Everybody's different. Exactly. And a full canteen. There's a lot of gear you can get in a mother canteen carrier. And then if you're adding a G3 on the bottom, Al's right. You might want a padded strap wrap at that point. But the cool thing about that is some badass, minimalistic, over-the-shoulder kick-assery right there. That's a lot of gear between a mother and a G3 and what you can do in the padded strap wrap and with the loops. That's a lot of gear. Is it like saying you're going to be living in the Hilton? I did not say that at all, but that's a lot of gear you can carry over your shoulder. And then we have Mike. Mike, finally catch one of these live. Well, thanks for joining us, sir. Well, hopefully we'll make this entertaining. Jump in, ask questions. And here, I'm just going to jump right into it then, going into padded strap wrap. Well, so the first thing I wanted to now I've got this one kind of partially open, and this is going to make a little bit of sense. But so here, a little bit of the genesis. So on that note, matter of fact, into the questions and the comments that are already being raised. When we first came out with the Mother and the Scout, I actually don't think I started doing the padded strap wrap until we were making the Scout. I think that's about when we did the padded strap wrap. And, I'm kind of a dinosaur, old school. I don't like pads very often because most pads they don't ever stay in one place. They keep sliding around. And so, back in the military, you would just take a towel or a t-shirt, wrap it where you want it on your sling, and then just tape it down with 100-mile-an-hour tape. And then that was your pad. Good enough, right? Suck it up, buttercup type of thing. But I had a bunch of people, into everybody's comments, a fully loaded Mother and a G3, that's a little bit of weight. And I was like, okay, we should probably make a pad. But if I'm making a pad, I'm not making one of those bullshit pads that slides all over the place. And therefore, the padded strap wrap was kind of born. So just kind of open this up a little bit. So, and as you can see right now, that's a lot of Velcro. It goes down the whole length of the padded strap. This thing isn't going to inadvertently open up on you and your contents are going to spill out. If you have one of these things, and if you don't, but you're familiar, if I close this all the way and all that Velcro, this is 1.5 inch Velcro, true Velcro brand Velcro. You got to work to get this thing open. And I know a couple of the guys in the chat already, they have them. Tell me if I'm wrong. It's a little bit of work to get this thing open. So it's not like anything's going to fall out. Now, the shoulder strap I have in here is my shoulder strap for my mother, and it's got shotgun shells. And that's going to be a little bit of an issue you'll see here in a second. But what you're kind of getting at is, and what I'm trying to point out is, here's the top of the shoulder, the actual shoulder strap. Here's the bottom of the shoulder strap. That pad, and then at the top and the bottom of our shoulder straps, that's where you have that reducer right there. So that padded strap wrap is pinned in there. So the strap doesn't slide because it's just the proper size. And I'm just going to kind of just half-ass shut this for a quick second so you see what I'm saying. It comes down on the ends of the shoulder strap. Now, if you get a short shoulder strap, then obviously those reducers are going to be inside of the padded strap wrap. The padded strap wrap will be a little bit longer. If you get an extra long shoulder strap, there's going to be a little bit of 1 inch webbing that still comes out. But so even on that, on the extra large, if it does slide at all, it's barely going to slide. But what's not going to happen is the pad itself isn't going to slide past the point of contact onto your shoulder where you want that weight distribution, right? So that pad is locked in place. So unlike a pad that just slides all over the place, never really is there when you need padding, this guy's always going to be on your shoulder, helping to distribute that weight, help cushioning it. So there's the pad part of it. And that's what we did. We made it so it locked in place between the, there you go, the reducers on either end of the shoulder strap. What was I just going to say about that? Oh, I don't know. I was going to take a quick little break here and see if anyone had any comments. But so that's it. So that's just the pad itself. It's not going to slide around. Then to Gene's point, I think it was Gene. Yeah, correct me. Yeah, there it is. It is Gene. Yeah, hides but holds a lot of gear. So yeah, so it's holding your shoulder strap in there, and then you can put all kinds of gear in here. And before I do the little thing I was going to show about, how you could do your cordage up here and then help that or have that as how you started your ridge line, I kind of want to go back to that storage. So, depending on what you put in here, right, you already should see and be picking up what I'm putting down. The items that are going to fit in there. Now, if you're running a shoulder strap that's got the elastic shotgun shell loops, well, those take up quite a bit of space, but you can still get a lot of gear in here, but it's going to be your flat, thin. I mean, think of like a wire saw or 550 cord, or let's say you get a whole bunch of cotton swabs, dip them in Vaseline, put them in some type of plastic container and roll that in there. So you could have your fire kit in here, a signals kit in here, all your cordage in here. But the more you put into it, obviously you're just going to have to play around with it a little bit, because I'd have to shove this down quite a bit to overcome those big elastic loops for the shotgun shells. And then I could still shut it. You can see I'm just kind of doing it quickly for the camera. And then here's my last comment, though, that I know some people may not think about. Even when it's shut completely, that's a raw edge, right? And that's where the Velcro is. So set that thing up so that raw edge is on the outside of your body, and the smooth edge, where the corner, where it folds, the fold itself is closest to your neck, right? Because you don't want a raw edge, running up against your neck while you're walking. I mean, maybe you do. You do you. Maybe that's your thing. You want to get punished when you're out there on the trail. But my recommendation is, set it up and think it through. So the fold is the part of the pad that's going to be closest to your neck, and let the outside portion of it, the raw edge or the folded edge, the open edge, let that be on the outside of your body. All right. Little stupid joke, kind of taking a little twist here. What do you guys think? Should I do the rest of this podcast? I just realized, because I'm wearing kind of a burgundy color here, should I wear the rest with my fez from overseas? I don't think so. I don't think that fez is really me. I think I'll go back to my cool Black Scout survival hat. All right. Now, on the shoulder strap. Now, and look, I'm not telling anybody how to do this. There's so many ways you can rig this up. This is just a concept here, right? Al thought that was funny. Yeah. What's funny is that actually used to fit my head, a long time ago when I was a young cool guy. If you notice, that thing barely rested up on my head like a thimble or something like that. Yeah. But so how you do, literally, I'm just trying to show you the concept, because there's a million ways in which you could do it. Hey, you guys hang on one second here. I don't know what's going on. Give me a quick second. There we go. We had a lighting malfunction. Had to go ahead and take care of that so you could see me in all of my glory and grandeur. But so again, how you do this, what I'm about to show you, there's a million ways to do it. So don't get hung up on the, I don't like Mark's knot or whatever. Yeah, there's a million other knots out there. Matter of fact, there's some pretty cool knot channels. And I've said this a bunch of times, and I will eventually do it. I think there's like a good 5 or 7 knots that every person should know how to tie. That'll really help you out in a bunch of circumstances. But if you don't know how to tie knots, or you're not very proficient at it, that's what I'm going to kind of show you here with these little figure 9s and S-beaners, because I really like them and they're very fast and convenient, right? And if you're not good at knot tying, I mean, we're not all good at everything, right? So yeah, I suck at, I can tie my shoes, but I can't tie end of the line bowling. Okay, well, it just is what it is, right? So these figure 9s work really well. So inside of here, and I just did it for show. I grabbed some kind of high vis cordage that I had, and I just basically I've got it S rolled in here, and it's only secured on one end because, again, the concept here, well, see there, I'm doing the wrong thing. So I've got the rough edge against my my neck. Like I said, don't do, but for the sake of this video, bear with me, right? So this is over my shoulder, and I'm gonna look, there's my perfect campsite. There's a tree, that's where I'm gonna set, depending what type of shelter, but I want to have a ridge line. So all you have to do is you can come up, you've got the end secured. The figure nine's got, it's got a little gate. You can see the gate on it. Now, I just tied it off there for right now because that's actually how I do it, but that'll make a little bit more sense in a couple seconds. But you just want to have that secured and tied off, and then that way you can loop it to one of the loops, the regular 1-inch webbing loops on the padded strap wrap. And I'm not joking. It's really as simple as this. So I would take this, I would wrap it around a tree, and then now that's around the tree, I can still take the running end, right? So that's the end running towards, what I'm going to next. Or I guess you could call it the free end too. But I could just still take that and just do all the instructions that you need to do on this little figure 9. And you can just imagine, so I'm just kind of doing this right now for you guys to see, but in real life, this would be around the tree. And you can see I'm pulling it. It's not going anywhere, right? This is super secure. And all it is just you're making a bite, right? This figure 9 has a little, and it's got a diagram if you don't know how to do it, but you're just basically looping your cordage over one side back through, and it makes a bite. And now it's there, it's rock solid. So this is around my tree. And now I just keep walking back or walking to my next tree. And see, it's already it just keeps coming out. I think when I first did this in the original padded strap wrap video, I put way too much cordage in there. And for like 2 minutes, it was like a clown car, like da, 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 da. I just kept pulling out, material. And then the end comes out and it's another figure 9, right? And then the same thing, you're wrapping that around a tree. And whether you're putting a clove hitch or you're just, or this is secured, just like I did the other one, where you're doing any type of end of the line and that's secured into the 9 itself, comes around the tree. You're taking your free end, running it through. Oops, sorry. And now it's going to be secured. Right now, this isn't quite working because there's no tree there. Right. And then you're just doing your pulls, and that's the nice thing. So you don't have to do a tensioning knot or any type of slip knots or Prusik or any of that kind of stuff. You're literally just pulling this guy. You're just wrapping him around a tree and you're just pulling it until he gets as tight as you want. And then you're just taking that and then just boop, and it's secured and it's done. And it's super simple. And it's as easy as, well, I was going to say easy as 1, 2, 3 or easy peasy lemon squeezy, something like that. But yeah, it's not tough. And there's, again, that's just one way you could do this. There's a whole bunch of different ways you could set it up. And then all I did, I guess the last part is, and there's a whole bunch of different ways, you could have, like, again, tied this off with a basic bite, some type of hitch, had it connected to your figure 9. And then I literally, after I opened up all that Velcro and the padded strap wrap, I'm just running it down and then looping it back up. I'm just making what's called an S roll. I'm just constantly just making like an S, just coming back, all the way until, I just got all that cordage in there. And then now I'm at my free end. And then I just have a little bit coming up, and then I just use the gate and come up onto the 1-inch loop. Super simple. It's kind of the same concept that I'm going to be able to show with actually the ridge line secured to a tarp inside of the G3. But the overall premise of that ridge line is what I'm showing off right here. So padded strap wrap. So to Gene's point and to everyone else's point, this is a pad that doesn't move around. It's going to give you the padding where you need it, and it's going to be there when you need it. But it's also internal storage. Purification tablets, drinking straws. And I don't mean like, plastic drinking straw. I mean like a survival straw, cordage, a whole bunch of, like I said, cotton balls, that you've already put in Vaseline. You got them in a plastic baggie. You could mount your ferrule rod on the outside, depending what type of ferrule rod you have, or striker, whatever, you could have that inside of here too. So it's just another way so for all the awesomeness that you can get in this carrier or whatever you're using, it takes some of that material out of the pockets, puts it up here because maybe you don't need it all the time, or maybe you're going to need it right away. But then that frees up space for other gear over the shoulder as you're moving forward. All right, let's see. So right there, I know that was just down and dirty, and it might seem stupid, but a lot of people. Oh, okay. I got to read that joke in a second. But, we don't know what we don't know. And I have had a lot of people ask me questions about that since I kind of started talking about, and then also the S beaners, and I'll show that in a second. But I have to bring up, you guys are so great. This is the smart assery. Al reads, yes, Mark, we did. I made a comment about, we had a lighting issue, a lighting malfunction. Al's comment was, we had a lighting malfunction when you took your hat off. Blinded by the light, Al. Blinded by the light. That was pretty good. Pretty good. And then Gene, yeah, figure nines. So Gene and anyone else, matter of fact, we'll just take a quick pause before, because all I really have now is just a little bit of show and tell based on some questions that have come in over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, anybody else got any real world experience and real world comics again about those figure nines? I just think they're really, and there's even figure nines, and I've got them set up on my actual shelter, which is in a completely different place, that on the very bottom of that figure nine, it's a loop. So you can actually run your cordage through it and then up and over, and it secures it in place like that. So your cordage is already on it, kind of like a half hitch, but not really a half hitch, but it's on there. And then now you can still do that tie down and secure. So the figure nines are really cool, and it's really fast and it's really convenient. They're not super expensive. They obviously don't weigh a whole lot. And if you're just not really good at knots, matter of fact, do what Gene did. Have some in your gear and have some in your pockets. So when you're out with your buddy and he's trying to tie the 1000th granny knot in his ridge line or in his tent, you just like, okay, stop, dude. Here, I'm just going to give you some of these figure nines until you can learn how to tie square knots and bowlines and all this, proof six. You just need these figure nines, brother. So, because we all know who I'm talking about. We all have buddies like that. I'm a guy. I don't need any help. You can't tie a knot to save your life, brother. All right. We got Big Visk. Let me read his comment here real quickly, and I'll go on to some other show and tell. I use some widget from Dutch Hammocks that works similar to a figure nine, makes setup fast. Yeah, and there are other devices, other items out there very similar to a figure nine, but that is the point I'm just trying to get at, which Big Visk just chimed in with. It's just convenient and it's fast, right? Yeah, if you're really good and your knots and you just like, I don't want to use that, I'm just going to use knots, because there's all kinds of ways you can do tension and, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Roger, that's actually cool. I mean, you should learn those skills. But for, if you, have a hard enough time just tying your shoes and chewing gum and walking at the same time, a figure nine, or as Big Visk said, I guess Dutch Hammocks make something that's very similar. All right. And what do we got here from Al? A vacuum sealer is a great method of making custom bags or something like that. Strap wrap. So strap warp. Strap wrap. So I didn't actually do that. So when I was just grabbing some of my gear to get that, and to your point, and I've got, and look, not all vacuum sealers are made the same. I mean, you do you, and there's some bags that you don't have to pay, like there's some bags that are like astronomically expensive. And then there's another version that does the job just as good, and it's about half as the cost. I'm not dogging any of those manufacturers. I mean, you do you, but to Al's point, yeah, I mean, almost everything. Like, so as I was going through stuff, I mean, I've got vacuum sealer lickies and chewies. No shit, like, lifesavers and, aspirin, just vacuum sealed. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with a vacuum sealer, making your own med kits, your boo-boo kits, your food kits. Got another one that's full of like bouillon, so bouillon and some sugar. So you just got, there it is. Hey, all I have time for is I'm just going to boil some water, throw some bouillon in there, and just drink some beef broth or some chicken broth, to get back in the fight, or just even hot sugar water, right? Same type of thing, but a vacuum sealer. Yeah, high fiving you right there, Al. Can't even agree with you enough on that one. And then we got John. Thanks, John, for joining. And we got great idea. And then there was like a questioning smiley face, which probably was about, why did Mark put that hat on earlier? That was a bad move. He shouldn't have done that. All right, here's a couple little things that have come up in conversation recently. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me just point these out. I'm not plugging anybody. I'm not a distributor or anything like that, but they're just really easy and really convenient. So you've heard me talk about S beaners quite a bit. And I've had some people say, well, what's an S beaner? Well, there it is right there. It's a beaner. It's not a load-bearing beaner. I mean, look, in extremis, if I had to, I'm not advising anyone else to do it, but like in extremis, would I maybe have a go of it and chance it? I don't know, maybe not, but they're not meant for rappelling. They're not load-bearing like that, but they clearly have some type of tensile strength, and they're going to like hold some gear, right? But yeah, it's just it's a beaner with two opposing gates. That's all it is right there. So you should be able to see that right there. Just a beaner with two opposing gates. I shouldn't call it a beaner, matter of fact. So an S beaner, but it's great for, again, You've got your little like, okay, this is my emergency rig. It's got a ferrule rod, a whistle, a Swiss Army knife. Maybe you got some other thing on it. And then that S-beaner, then, the other side, that's what you're clipping into, your belt line, or along another piece of an item, or you're even up on the padded strap wrap. Now, I wouldn't personally want this there because it'd be bouncing all around, but maybe you're in bear country. And maybe that extra noise is something what you do want when you're walking down the trail. See, I mean, there's no one right or wrong answer here. If you're sneaking up, trying to capture bin Laden, you didn't want this going on, right? But if you're walking in bear country, you might even want to have that whistle on a little bit of a pull lanyard, and just every now and then, just give a couple little tweets, just make some noise. You're in bear country, for the love of Pete, unless you got a 10 mil or something with you. All right, so there's that S-beaner. They come in a whole bunch of different sizes and shapes, but I had a few people asking about that. I'm going to show you one little trick I do with my S-beaner. So I've got an S-beaner on a keeper, right? Just a regular keeper. I usually put the keeper on upside down, but you could do it the regular way too, however you want to do it. But I'll put that on my belt line because all I'm really trying to do is access that other gate on the S-beaner. And so I usually do this with my Scout. So if I'm out, clearing my trails or, weed whip and stuff like that, it doesn't happen so much on my Mother. It's really a little bit more on my Scout. And then what I just do is I'm taking that S-beaner, one of the gates, and I'm just locking it onto a piece of webbing, right? So now this is on my waistline, right? Secured. And then that's just preventing this, it's not going to swing with gravity the whole way. It's going to like secure it, especially if you're bending down. That's as far as it's ever going to go. So then your canteen carrier isn't like, swinging forward, smacking you in the head and causing an injury out in the middle of the woods. So that's just another little stupid trick, tip or trick, whatever you want to call it, of another way you can use these S-beaners. They're really good for just some basic weight management. Again, if you're running, you're moving, if you're doing trail maintenance, you're gonna be bending down, standing up quite a bit. So yeah, something over your shoulder, it's called gravity. It's going to move around just whether you like it or not. So this is a way to help pin that to your waist. And then just on that note, another little trick, and you can do it on the Scout too, but just take one of your mollies off. If you're shoulder carrying this, just run one of your mollies underneath your belt and then back onto the carrier and snap in place. And that's another way of holding it in static and in place at the same time. Let me just kind of do something here. Let's read some comments. Gene, they do have a poundage rating on the rear for brake. Yeah, I would imagine that. Yeah, just for like, because, well, yeah. So here in big, bold letters, not for climbing. Yeah, it is made in that country that I don't like to talk about. I wish it was made in America, but there's just some things that, and maybe to Big Visk, I think it was Big Visk who talked about that other country, but that was the figure nines, not these S-beaners. But and I'll read the next comment here. Al, Night Eyes makes great hooks by cutting one gate off, clip it on the barbecue or anything, and you have a hook that can't fall off. On that note, Al, and I should have probably done that because so Night Eyes has a whole bunch of bungees that have like an end to it, right? And you can you pull the material through to tighten it, and then you can wrap it over it, and it locks in place just like the figure 9 does. They're great bungee cords, probably the best bungee cords I've ever seen, because you get to control how much bungee and how much, how tight you want it, and it works for a lot of other items, and you can daisy chain them to if you've got an even bigger item right there. So yeah, just a little bit of a gear dump, knowledge dump. Thank you guys for adding into that, right? So Al's got a great point that he just said there. Now here's something that somebody was asking me about the other day, these cord keepers, right? And it's you can see what it is. It's ITW Nexus, right? It comes like this, and basically it's got the same type of thing where you can come around it. And well, here, I'll just show you on an actual item. And it's got 550 or correction shock cord on it. I added the shock cord keeper, and you'll see why, because sometimes this amount of shock cord is too little or not enough, right? And so obviously I use a lot of shock cord so I can cut it to whatever size I want. But I put that shock cord keeper on there because then, as you see, so if I just wanted to do a little bit of management, so here's just a little thing of trail marking tape, signal tape, right? But in there, you can just see what I just did is I just loosened up on the shock cord keeper. Now it's loose, and then I can adjust it. So it just, slide it through your item, that whatever. And you could do the same thing. So think about, like you just said, like lawnmowers and your your extra extension cords and things like that. So you just roll it up, get this guy where you want it, run him back through the opposite side, and it's really easy where it latches and secures, or how it secures. But there, now see how I have all that excess material and I have to tie another knot and slide down. That's where I just cheat and I just use shock cord keepers, and then I can just draw it as tight as I want, and there it is. So if you get these guys, again, I think, there's a couple different places where you can get them. It's ITW Nexus, but there are people who sell those. I don't know if they come with, because honestly, I tweak all my own stuff. I don't know if it's a standard. I'm assuming this is probably the standard length, a standard length, the amount of cordage that you get with it, the shock cord. If you've got these, and look, I'm doing it for somebody else. If you want me to throw in some, links of this stuff, just let me know. But, I usually take the original amount off, run it with a larger amount, still tied off, put on a shock cord keeper, and then it makes it easier for me to manage my cables and my cordage. All right. And then here's the last thing that came up in a recent conversation. People were asking me, because I've been talking about, how to do the tape so you don't have sticky. It might be the wrong colors there. So you don't have sticky on the sticky. So and I think that's a great thing to know how to do, because so here's just a chem light, right? So I've got this chem light, and you can see I've got a bunch of 550 cord attached to it, and I've got it S rolled up and through here. So it's on the outside of my chem light. So that way I can do what's called the buzz saw. Again, I'm pretty sure those videos are still on this, on our Centerline Systems channel. 2-3 years ago, me and Big Spoon, we went out, had the drone, and and I even did a buzz saw at night. So you can see there's a big difference just holding this in your hand and doing this, getting some length on it, just some cordage, and then twirling in the air makes a huge difference as far as your, the ability for search and rescue to see it. It because a chem light isn't super bright. I hate to say it by itself. It is technically if you know what you're looking for, but you get that thing swinging on a buzz saw. It's great. But so I've got that tape on here to help manage my cordage. But now this is just more than just a chem light with some 550 cord, because now I've got a whole bunch of 100-mile-an-hour tape. If I've got a boo-boo and I need to tape two fingers together, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm a big believer, where possible, tape things up. But this is not the sticky part of tape on that 550 cord or on the chem light. I did this right here, right? So here's sticky end right here, just a little bit. And I just took it, and it's going to vary based on the diameter of whatever's you're wrapping around, right? But then you just put another piece of tape and you do sticky to sticky, and that's going to create a non-sticky platform. And then I got sticky going all the way down here. And this is just going to be a kind of a shitty example, but just, another little chem light. I got a whistle on it, and maybe it's going to be the thing I'm going to use for, just so I have a little bit of extra emergency signal. So what I just like doing, and again, there's no one definite way of doing it, but I start it kind of down near the end where that sticky is. Just give it enough where I know it's going to get all over the, fully around the body of what I'm getting it, or I'm putting the tape on. And then I'm just going to match it up. I'm still going to get it kind of tight. And then now it's stuck. But then I just start going in the opposite direction with my tape, so I can draw it tight on itself. And then there you go. And then, I'm always a big believer, dog ear it, or whatever you want to call that, so you can access it. You always got that loose piece of tape you can find there. And then now, and I just whip that up real quickly, but you get the premise and you see what I'm talking about. So now there is no sticky anything taped to that shock cord, the chem light, your rope, whatever it is that you're wrapping around. And then, getting it off, it's right there. And then if you do it properly, when you get to that point, it can actually become reusable, because you're only separating that one little bit of tape on tape, right? Everything otherwise, it's sticky tape onto the outside of the tape, so it comes off easily. So that's what I would get out of all this 100-mile-an-hour tape that I got over this 550 cord. All right, we are at 29 minutes. This might be the first ever 30-minute live stream, which is what the goal was. Let me just see what we got for some comments. Got another one from Al. Haha, I've added cord locks on my web keeper because they can come loose. Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, thank you, Al. Yeah, so see, I'm not just the only crazy person. It's me and Al and anyone else. But yeah, you throw those cord locks on there because it is shock cord. It has elasticity, right? It stretches, right? So, but you put that shock cord keeper on there and you can draw that bad boy tight And now you're not worrying about that, that big look. You could do that same exact thing with ropes, right? It probably wouldn't work as well because like, real rope, well, I'll save that for a different day, but you see what I'm saying? That would be a lot of weight, right? You put that thing around it with a bigger piece of shock cord, and then, give yourself a shock cord loop, and then you could hang it that way if you wanted. There's an easier way to do that with rope, and maybe I'll show that in a different video, but that shock cord, probably isn't going to hold up the weight of a rope, but like an extension cord, 550 cord, stuff like that, cord management or just management up on your plate carrier, or, and those guys work on the on almost every place where we've got webbing on our gear. You can get one of those things in there. Now you've got another little extra hook where you can hang things or attach things and work. Sorry, I'm laughing. All right, learn me something just chimed in. Life skills with Mark. I don't know if they're really skills. Learn me something, but thank you anyway. I don't know about life skills. Life skills are don't wear your fez in a live stream. And then we got Gene with a comment. Awesome information as per normal, learning every day. God bless you right there, Gene. Yep. Keep thinking, keep moving, never quit, right? I'm smart enough to realize that I don't know everything. That's a great place to be, right? Always something to be learned. And that's why I guess maybe we got learn me something on here too, right? All right, that is it, boys and girls. 30 minutes. If I seem a little flustered because I had all kinds of shit just going wrong, and then the lights and everything, and it's just another one of those like, hurry up and make this shit work. But as always, I really appreciate everybody being here. We do have, I can confirm this now, we have a special guest for Thursday, and it is going to be Smokin' Rabbit. We're going to have Smokin' Rabbit over here on Thursday. We'll see what we're going to talk about, but I kind of already got a feeling we're going to talk about a little bit of history and some kind of cool historical things, and kind of doing the period pieces that he's into, and some outdoor related conversations. So that'll be Thursday's live stream. If you live in America, and I know there's other countries that have it as well. So a week from today in America is our Memorial Day. I'll talk about it a little bit on Thursday. Everybody kind of celebrates the holiday a little bit differently, but it is Memorial Day, in memoriam, right? Think about your fallen comrades, right? It's not just necessarily veterans. That's how I look at it, right? It's for you to be, think about whoever you've lost in your life, right? It's, and pay their memories homage, and spend a great weekend out in the nature with your friends and family and doing some fishing. That's what I'll be doing, fishing here in northern Minnesota. But where was I just going with that whole thing? Oh, and I totally just had my dates wrong. That's not this upcoming Monday. That's the Monday after that. See, it's just been one of those days, boys and girls. Hold it. Is it Monday or is this Saturday? I don't even know half the time, nowadays. But as always, so again, got a guest coming on this Thursday. And then we will have, then we got Memorial coming up here later this month. We got a couple other guests coming on as well. If there's anything, honestly, I haven't said, if there's anything specific that, you boys and girls would like to see us talk about, or maybe try to guest on from, you can kind of see what I'm doing with the guests. I'm bringing on a wide variety of people from a wide variety of backgrounds, but it all pertains to what we're talking about here, right? Like if you're going to go out and enjoy nature, that means, in my opinion, that means you need to be smart about it, and you need to be prepared, because you don't get to pick and choose when a mountain lion jumps on your back, or maybe you've got some mountain lion lure and that's what you do, but you see what I'm getting at. And then I got a question here. It's sneak peeks. Mike, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by sneak peeks. We've been doing sneak peeks. I will have another sneak peek maybe this time next week. Yeah, maybe but it's not really much of a sneak peek. Everybody's kind of seen what the ruck is, how it's shaping up and what it's looking like. So I'm doing one little tweak, nothing major, it's almost more cosmetic than anything. I'm doing one tweak and then moving on with that. But I think that's really the only other sneak peeks I got here. I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to talk about the skeleton chassis or show that off until I'm damn well ready to do it, even though it's on the website right now. You can see that coming soon. But I think that wraps it up, boys and girls. Hopefully we'll see everybody over here again on Thursday. Again, we've got Valley Reb. That's his Instagram handle, by the way, Valley Reb. And he's Smokin' Rabbit. We'll have him over on Thursday. Like I said, we got a bunch of other good guests coming up in the future. Gene is giving his signature, woo, kind of, what is that, a sign out, type of thing. But yeah, but anyway, you know the deal. Reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can help you out. These next 2 weeks, we're kind of really spending our time just focusing, getting, not falling behind and staying ahead on the work orders. So again, that's how we have to do our prototyping. You know, you guys come first, so we got to keep focused on that. So just stay tuned, Mike. We'll have some more stuff coming up in the very near future. But until then, you know the deal. If you got questions, comments, reach out anytime. I'll do the best I can to help you out. And other than that, boys and girls, any last comments? Kind of just giving it a second. Don't want to leave anybody in the lurch. All right. I think that does it. All right, boys and girls, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. All right, everybody, be good. We'll see you next time. Woo! Oh, Al came in with a big thumbs up. There it is. That's the final comment. All right, Al. See you, everybody.